So that brings me to another question about tradition. When to insert tradition, when to, listen to the tradition and put it into the flow of the day, and when to maybe step aside and outside of what tradition has told us to do and maybe just go by what you want to do instead.
That's such a loaded question because it could be, it's like there's so many layers.
Yeah.
Because when you say when to incorporate tradition, of course, there's going to be some cultural elements that are going to be really important to you that, of course, you're going to have to incorporate those traditional moments that matter to you. However, I do see a lot lately where we're going through the timeline call, we're asking the questions, all right, on the left side, we're going to have lining up this way, but I have a bride, she's like, well, my hair flows better the other way. Can I stand on the right?
One.
She's like, what about standing on the right side? I'm like, do whatever you want. She's like, so I don't have to? I'm like, no. Like, honestly, there's no rules when it comes to that. Of course, if you want to be traditional if that means the most to you, but don't do it because you feel like you have to.
Yeah.
And that could just go in so many different layers. I feel like I know big one is a first look. And that's kind of like a hot topic, of course. And of course, our jobs are going to be part to educate everyone and be like, okay, let's kind of break this down a little bit. If you don't do a first look, then you have cocktail hour for your photos. And if you're telling me you want to join your cocktail hour, but you still want to go off-site somewhere for photos, well,
like a very short window.
we could let's work this back a little bit. Like, okay, then what's more priority to you? That first look moment down the aisle or these photos that are half a mile down from the venue that you want to go off to?
Yeah.
And then we just kind of work that way. And then I'll always put my 2 cents in. But I think first look too is you see your partner longer in the day. I mean, you're anxious all day, you're going to that big moment, and then ceremony's at 5:30, and you're seeing your partner at 5:30, and then you're going rush throughout the rest of the day, and then the day's over.
It goes by quick.
So that's my for first look. But I think just do what you want.
Yeah. I think when we talk to our couples, I think they want to know what tradition is.
Yeah.
So that they're educated. Like, what is something that maybe you're supposed to do or what has happened in the past, so that they can understand if they want to include it. So I think, like you're saying, standing on the sides, or what side is, groom side versus bride side. And I think it's all about just like understanding what can you do and then how can you change it. I think some of our couples come with a vision and then they're excited about their vision and they want to do it, and then they realize that it's not tradition. And then I think bringing that back to families or, other people in the planning process, maybe they're like, oh, wait, let's just do the tradition thing.
Yeah.
And so I think as a couple talk with what you want to experience, and what makes the most sense. Because there's a lot of decisions you have to make on the day. And it might be hard to, like, what do I care about? Like, you were asked all of these questions and have to decide. And I think they'd be a little intimidating. So I think that's where we're here to be like, this is what you can do. These are your options. Let's explore what that feels like. Sit with it. You don't have to make a decision.
Yes.
Because when you're creating that timeline, you don't know what your day is. And so, we create this timeline and create this experience for you to be like, this is how your day can feel. This is what we recommend for an easier flow. And if you decide to do it, amazing. If you don't, we're going to explain, what could that feeling be like, and just so that you can prepare yourself for maybe a quick pace and you're missing cocktail hour, or are we extending cocktail hour to an hour 30 if it makes sense? And, what are creative ways we can do if we have the capabilities, right? There's some restrictions sometimes that we can get you what you want that makes the most logistical sense. So I feel like it's always a puzzle.
It is.
Wedding
days are definitely
a puzzle.
Yes.
And we're planning and creating all these things, but the day you're living in it, it's like we always say, it's a live event. So, we're planning for something, but your vendors are going to adjust and move things and slow them down, speed them up, so that whatever happens, we are experiencing it and figuring out alongside you, so you guys aren't feeling that as rushed or
exactly.
Yeah. I think the other thing, just in terms of tradition specifically, is really involving your family in the conversation when it makes sense to you, right? Everyone has different family dynamics, and that is okay. And sometimes it makes sense to talk to your family, and sometimes it doesn't. And you should reserve some of that energy and just make decisions for yourself. And again, every situation truly is different, as we've seen, and it's one of those things that when it does make sense to involve the family, or if your family is already super involved and you want them to be involved, these are conversations you really have to go deep and talk to them about. In every culture, there are some things that are, are kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah,
and maybe they're super important to the culture. Sometimes it's just something that's super important to mom, or super important to dad, or super important to your grandmother.
Yes.
And it's something that could be a small change in the timeline, or a small add-in to the day that can make them feel like they've really been thought of. And it's just having those conversations. And I think you really need to talk to your family, because those are conversations that are so tough. And sometimes when you don't, you kind of leave things on the table that could have easily been worked into the day.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think prepping families and talking through your decisions. I think it's different to be like, this is what you're going to do, and then you get all these opinions early on. So when you're having those conversations, so they're not seeing it for the first time on wedding day, or getting told that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.